Very good morning, dear students. International issues, international organization, and international related current affairs. In our last video, we discussed 10 topics related to international organization and international issues. In this discussion also, we'll be looking into another 10 topics. At the same time, don't miss the premium preliminary question paper of Learning Radius to have an extreme edge in your overall UPSC preliminary preparation. In this particular discussion, in this video, we'll be looking into 10 topics, that is India-Denmark discussion, Amnesty International, BRICS Cultures Meeting, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, G20 Debt Relief Initiative, G20, SAAK, Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, that is CCIA, G4 countries, and the Arab League. So the 10 topics of discussion are Arab League, G4 country, CCIA, SAAK, G20, G20 Debt Relief Initiative, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, BRICS Culture Ministers Meeting, Amnesty International, and India-Denmark discussion. Let's come to the first topic, that is India-Denmark discussion or India-Denmark relationship. India-Denmark decided to elevate their ties to a green strategic partnership. So the term green strategic partnership is in discussion. UPSC can frame questions related to green strategic partnership. Like if the term green strategic partnership is in news, is related to what? Or out of the statements, which all statements are correct related to green strategic partnership? So green strategic partnership that aim to create a framework for significant expansion of cooperation in areas of renewable energy, environment, economy, climate change, and science and technology. So once again, it's a framework for significant expansion of cooperation. Significant expansion of cooperation in areas of renewable energy, environment, economy, climate change, and science and technology. The Green Strategic Partnership is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Once again, it's a mutually beneficial arrangement to advance political cooperation, expand economic ties or economic relations, and green growth, create jobs, and strengthen cooperation on addressing global challenges and opportunities with a focus on an ambitious implementation of the Paris Agreement and UN Sustainable Development Goal. Next one is India-Denmark elevate ties to Green Strategic Partnership. PM Modi calls for resilient supply chain. That is the news from Hindustan Times on September 2020. So you can see the heading in this manner: India-Denmark elevate ties to Green Strategic Partnership. PM Modi calls for resilient supply chains. The decision was made during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first virtual summit with a counterpart from a European Union nation, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen. The two leaders also agreed to expand their cooperation on ways to combat COVID-19 and future pandemic, including the development of vaccines. So that was the discussion you can see related to India and Denmark. Next one is Amnesty International. Amnesty International is in news, so you should have complete understanding related to Amnesty International. At the same time, the GK fundamentals should be very clear. The complete freezing of Amnesty International India's bank account by the government of India brings all the work being done by the organization to a grinding halt. So that is the discussion. The complete freezing of Amnesty International India's bank account by the government of India, bringing all the work being done by the organization to a grinding halt. Now, what is Amnesty International? Amnesty International is a non-government organization with its headquarters in the United Kingdom focused on human rights. The organization says it has more than 8 million members and supporters around the world. The stated objective of the organization is to conduct research and generation action to prevent and end grave abuses of human rights and to demand justice for those whose rights have been violated. So this is basically Amnesty International is standing for. Now, why we are discussing Amnesty International? This was the news in Hindustan Times and all the leading newspapers covered the discussion. In September 2020, Amnesty International says work in India halted after government freezes bank accounts. So Amnesty International says work in India halted after government freezes bank account. Amnesty further claimed that it has been compelled to let go of staff in India and pause all ongoing campaign and research work. Amnesty further claimed that it has been compelled to let go of staff in India and pause all ongoing campaign and research work. So this was the discussion. Amnesty International says work in India halted after government freezes bank account. understand the basic fundamentals of Amnesty International and the activities of Amnesty International and objectives of Amnesty International from this particular perspective. Now the next discussion is about BRICS Culture Ministers meeting. The fifth BRICS Culture Ministers meeting was held through video conference under the chairmanship of Russian Federation. The delegates from culture ministers of the Federative Republic of Brazil, the Russian Federation, the Republic of India, the People's Republic of China, and the Republic of South Africa participate in the meeting. So once again, the fifth BRICS Culture Ministers meeting was held through video conference under the chairmanship of Russian Federation. The delegates from culture ministers of the Federative Republic of Brazil, the Russian Federation, the Republic of India, the People's Republic of China, and the Republic of South Africa participated in the meeting. Now, right from the PIB, you can see a clear press release on 4th September 2020. The Ministry of Culture, the press release major heading was this one: Union Minister of State Independent Charge for Culture and Tourism, Sri Prahlad Singh Patel, virtually attends 5th BRICS Culture Ministers Meet. Culture is the bonding force above all man-made demarcation and connect people through love and harmony, Sri Patel. So once again, culture is the bonding force above all man-made demarcations and connect people through love and harmony, Sri Patel. And this was the news. Union Minister of State Independent Charge for Culture and Tourism, Sri Prahlad Singh Patel, virtually attended 5th BRICS Culture Ministers meeting on September 3, 2020. The 5th BRICS Culture Ministers meeting was held through video conference under the chairmanship of Russian Federation. The delegate from culture ministers of the Federative Republic of Brazil, Russian Federation, the Republic of India, the People's Republic of China, and Republic of South Africa participated in the meeting. So BRICS as such is in news, and the details of BRICS, the fundamentals of BRICS should be there in your mind, and the history behind BRICS and the objectives of BRICS also should be very clear. Now, Minister of Culture, Sri Prahlad Singh Patel, chaired 6th meeting of BRICS Culture Ministers through video conference that you can see in July 2021. So one is in September 2020, you can see the 5th meeting, and on 2nd July 2021, you can see the PIBL press release on the 6th meeting. So you should have an idea as an aspirant about the BRICS, because 2 cultural ministers meeting as such you can see on September and July. One is in September 2020 and another is in 2nd July 2021. So Ministry of Culture, Sri Prahlad Singh Patel chairs 6th meeting of BRICS Culture Ministers through video conference. You can see the same discussion you can see, but the 2 as it is different. One is 5th and another one is 6th. One is in September, another one is September 2020, another one is in July 2021. The Ministers of State for Culture and Tourism, Sri Prahlad Singh Patel, hosted 6th BRICS Culture Ministers meeting on Friday through video conference. The delegates from culture ministers of the Federative Republic of Brazil, Russian Federation, Republic of India, People's Republic of China, and Republic of South Africa participated in the meeting. Some suggestions or events proposed by Indian side in cultures ministers addressed are as below: to explore possibilities of hosting a digital online exhibition on a shared theme towards end of 2021 under the auspices of BRICS Alliance of Museums. So a new discussion to explore the possibility or to explore possibilities of hosting a digital online exhibition. Hosting a digital online exhibition on shared theme towards the end of 2021 under the auspices of BRICS Alliance of Museum, and to extend full cooperation and content sharing for website envisaged under the BRICS Alliance. Opening the BRICS corner under the auspices of BRICS Alliance of Libraries proposed to be inaugurated during the India's BRICS presidency in 2021. The corner will be disseminate information related to the history and culture of BRICS countries. The corner will display the books, periodicals, and other e-resources gifted by the BRICS countries with Brazil, Russia, China, and South Africa. The National Gallery of Modern Arts, New Delhi, will host the BRICS joint exhibition titled Bonding Regions and Imaging Cultural Synergies. From UPSC point of view, themes are very, very important. Titles are very, very important. Year related to that titles and themes are important. So National Gallery of Modern Arts, New Delhi, will host the BRICS joint exhibition. And the joint exhibition is titled Bonding Regions and Imaging Cultural Synergies under the auspices of BRICS Alliance of Art Museums and Galleries. So the exhibition is proposed to be organized in 2021, coinciding with the BRICS event that India would be hosting in 2021. The exhibition aimed to present around 100 works of art from 5 prestigious institutions under the BRIC Alliance. So once again, I'll read that paragraph since it is very, very important. The National Gallery of Modern Arts, New Delhi, will host the BRICS joint exhibition titled Bonding Regions and Imaging Cultural Synergies under the auspices of the BRICS Alliance of Art, Museum and Galleries. The exhibition is proposed to be organized in 2021, coinciding with the BRICS event that India would be hosting in 2021. The exhibition aimed to present around 100 works of art from the 5 prestigious institutions under the BRICS Alliance. Now, what is BRICS? We know BRICS is an acronym of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Goldman Sachs economist Jim O'Neill coined the term BRIC without South Africa in 2001, claiming that by 2050, the 4 BRIC economies would come to dominate the global economy by 2050. South Africa added to the list in 2010. Once again, South Africa added to the list in 2010 and started in 2001, 2020, 21 is the 20th year of BRIC. Obviously, you should have an idea what is BRICS is about. Next discussion is about NATO, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Greece rejects NATO mediation. It says de-escalation only after Turkey withdraws vessel from Greek water. So it is about the de-escalation. So Greek rejects NATO mediation. It says de-escalation only after Turkey withdraws vessel from Greek waters. Over recent weeks, tensions have been rising in the waters of the Eastern Mediterranean, prompted by what seems like a simple rivalry over energy resources. Turkey has pursued an aggressive gas exploration effort, its research vessel heavily protected by warships of the Turkey Navy. There have been encounters with rival Greek vessels and a third NATO country. France has become involved siding with the Greeks. These tensions also highlight another shift in the region, the decline of the US power. So Turkey has pursued an aggressive gas exploration effort, its research vessel heavily protected by warships of the Turkey Navy. There have been encounters with rivals Greek vessel and a third NATO country. France has become involved siding with the Greeks. This tension also highlights another shift in the region, the decline of the US power. So this is the present scenario, what I explained in the third paragraph. Tensions are mounting to breaking point between Turkey and Greece over the Turkey's drilling work near the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, which like Greece is an EU member country. Now here from UPSC point of view, rather than the issue, you should have special note on the geography of that particular region. You should have an idea about the entire Mediterranean, right from Mediterranean to Caspian, Mediterranean Sea, Lingquarian Sea, Tyrrhenian Sea, Ionian Sea, Adriatic Sea, Aegean Sea, Sea of Marmara, Sea of Black or Black Sea, Sea of Azov and Caspian Sea. So right from Mediterranean to Caspian Sea, there should be clarity. At the same time, the islands inside should be clear in your mind. So as like the islands of Cyprus. So this discussion UPSC can relate with geography questions. So Turkey doesn't recognize the divided island of Cyprus as a state and claims 44% of Cyprus exclusive economic zone as its own. Cyprus was split along ethnic lines in 1974 when Turkey invaded in the wake of a coup by supporters of union with the Greece. So that is the background history of that particular. Turkey doesn't recognize the divided island of Cyprus as a state and claims 44% of Cyprus exclusive economic zone as its own. Now this was the news in Hindu. Turkey, Greece start talks to reduce risk of conflict, says NATO chief. Turkey, Greece start talk to reduce risk of conflict, says NATO chief. That was the discussion in Hindu newspaper in September 2020. No agreement has been reached from the military level talk, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said. This was the discussion. Despite a denial from Greece, the chief of NATO said on Friday that Greece and Turkey have started technical discussion aimed at reducing the risk of conflict or accident amid military tension between allies over shore energy resources in the Eastern Mediterranean. No agreement has been reached from the military level talks, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said. So this was the discussion. Turkey, Greece start talks to reduce risk of conflict. So risk of conflict is there over that particular region. So that region from geography point of view, from political point of view, you should have clarity. Geopolitical point of view, you should have clarity. The geography of that particular region should be very, very clear. Next is G20 Debt Relief Initiative. A new term is in discussion, that is Debt Service Suspension Initiative, that is what called DSSI. Now, the G20 group of rich nations and big emerging powers extended their debt service suspension initiative to help the world poorest countries cope with the fallout of the COVID-19 crisis until the middle of next year. You can see this in all newspapers and in magazines. More than that, you can see in the websites. So the G20 group of rich nations and big emerging powers extended their debt service suspension initiative, DSSI, to help the world poorest countries cope with the fallout of the COVID-19 crisis until the middle of next year. Now in the website, that is worldbank.org, you can see in the World Bank website, COVID-19 Debt Service Suspension Initiative, that is DSSI. COVID-19 has dealt a major blow to world's poorest countries, causing a recession that could push more than 100 million people to extreme poverty. That is why the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund urged G20 countries to establish the Debt Service Suspension Initiative. The DSSI is helping countries concentrate their resources on fighting the pandemic and safeguarding the lives and livelihoods of millions of the most vulnerable people. Since it took effect on May 1st, 2020, the initiative has delivered more than $5 billion in relief to more than 40 eligible countries. So that is right from the World Bank. You can go through worldbank.org, you can get the details of Debt Service Suspension Initiative and have an understanding what is the objective and what is the aim of Debt Service Suspension Initiative, that is DSSI. The DSSI was approved in April. It offers a temporary suspension of official sector or government to debt payment to 73 countries here, although only 43 have signed up so far. The 6-month extension will see it run until at least June 30, 2021. The payment covered are not forgiven but delayed, with a repayment period of 5 years and a 1-year grace period. The rescheduling is intended to be what is known as net present value, NPV neutral. So there is another term called NPV, that is net present value. The payment covered are not forgiven but delayed, with a repayment period of 5 years and a 1-year grace period. The rescheduling is intended to be what is known as net present value neutral. The World Bank estimates that to date, the 43 countries that have signed up for DSSI have deferred just over $5 billion of debt. So there's a total discussion about the term DSSI, and right from the World Bank website, read the discussion in detail and have a clarity from mains perspective also. At the same time, the fundamental also should be very clear. The facts oriented clarity should be there in your mind. Next is another term called G20. Now, the Indian Navy has started a bilateral Navy military exercise. The Indian Navy has started a bilateral naval military exercise code named G20 with Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, GMSDF, that takes place in the North Arabian Sea from 26 to 28 September 2020. That was the news. So September news 26 to 28. So Indian Navy has started a bilateral naval military exercise code named GMS-20 with Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, GMSDF, over the Northern Arabian Sea. Now what is it? GMEX series of exercise was started in January 2012 with special focus on maritime security cooperation. The last edition of GMEX was conducted in October 2018 of Visakhapatnam coast. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So right from 2012 to 2021, it's 10 years. So right from UPSC point of view, there's a possibility of getting question because it started in 12, it is 2021, so it's completed 10 years. So India-Japan bilateral Navy military cooperation, you can expect a question. GMEX-20 will showcase a high degree of interoperability and joint operation skill through the conduct of a multitude of advanced exercise across the spectrum of maritime operations, multifaceted tactical exercise involving weapon firing, cross-duct helicopter operations, and complex surface anti-submarine and air warfare drills will consolidate coordination developed by the two navies. Indian-Japan navies mass skills in Northern Arabian Sea. the Hindu September 2020. So India-Japan Navy's mass skills in Northern Arabian Sea, the September 2020 Indian Navy Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force ship conduct operations in close formation at GIMEX 2020, the fourth edition of India-Japan Maritime Bilateral Exercise on September 27, 2020. So you can see a figure in the slide, and that was the figure on September 2020 in Hindu newspaper. India-Japan Navy's match skills in Northern Arabian Sea, the Hindu September 2020 discussion. September 2020, Indian Navy and Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force ship conduct operation in close formation at GIMEX 2020, the fourth edition of India-Japan Maritime Bilateral Exercise. That was the news. It will showcase high degree of interoperability and joint operational skills. Next discussion is related to SAAK. We all know SAAK is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. Foreign ministers from the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation participated in an informal meeting on the sidelines of UN. India called on all SAAK members to collectively resolve to defeat the scourge of terrorism, including the forces that nurture, support, and encourage an environment of terror and conflict which impede the objective of SAAK to realize its full potential for collective collaboration and prosperity across South Asia. So what is SAAK? We know, and now India called on our SAAK members to collectively resolve to defeat the scourge of terrorism, including the forces that nurture, support, and encourage an environment of terror and conflict which impede the objective of SAAK to realize its full potential for collective collaboration and prosperity across South Asia. Now, what is SAAK is very clear, and you should have an idea about SAAK because, again, 1985 to 2020, if you look 35, it is the 36th year. So, the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation was established with the signing of SAAK Charter in Dhaka on 8th December 1985. SAAK comprises of 8 member states: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The basic fundamental about SAAK. The Secretariat of Association was set up in Kathmandu on January 1987. And the objectives of SAAK should be clear in your mind. The next one is the news came related to SAAK. India-Pakistan foreign ministers to attend SAAK virtual meet on September 24. This was the discussion came in Hindu newspaper. India-Pakistan foreign ministers to attend SAAK virtual meet on September 24. All member countries have confirmed participation in the meeting to be chaired by Pradeep Kumar Kayali, Nepal's Minister for Foreign Affairs. That was the discussion came in newspaper. Next discussion is related to CCIA. We know what is CCIA, that is confidence building measures in Asia. So Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, India participated in the Special Ministerial Conference of CCIA. India reaffirmed its support for the Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, initiative on peace, security, and prosperity in Asia. Now, the meeting witnessed the transfer of chairmanship of CCIA from Tajikistan to Kazakhstan. Once again, the meeting witnessed the transfer of chairmanship of CCIA from Tajikistan to Kazakhstan, appointments of new executive director, and exchange of views on the future endeavors of CCIA, including cooperation in mitigating the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. So that was the discussion related to CCIA, and India is a member of CCIA since inception in 1999 and has been actively participating in various activities under the aegis of CCIA. India also co-chairs 2 CCIA CBMs on development of secure and effective system of transportation corridors and energy security. So that is India's role in CCIA. India also co-chairs 2 CCIA CBM on development of secure and effective system of transportation corridors and energy security. Now, what is Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, that is CCIA? It's a multinational forum for enhancing cooperation towards promoting peace, security, and stability in Asia. It's a forum based on the recognition that there is a close link between peace, security, and stability in Asia and in the rest of the world. The member states, while affirming their commitment to the UN Charter, believe that peace and security in Asia can be achieved through dialogue and cooperation, leading to a common, indivisible area of security in Asia where all states peacefully and their people live in peace, freedom, and prosperity. So that is about TICA, and the objective also should be clear. Now, for becoming a member of CCIA, state must have at least a part of its territory in Asia. That's very, very clear, and you should have clarity in that. For becoming a member of CCIA, state must have at least a part of its territory in Asia. And CCIA has 27 member states, 8 countries, and 5 multinational organizations, including United Nations, have the observer status. Now, while we are discussing this one, CCIA virtual ministerial meeting detail as such was there in the Ministry of Ministry of External Affairs website, that is www.mea.gov.in. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar participated in the meeting of foreign ministers of Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures, that is CCIA, in Asia, held virtually on 24 September 2020. EAM congratulated Kazakhstan on assuming the chair of CCIA and reaffirmed India's support for CCIA's initiative on peace, security, and prosperity in Asia. He shared India's effort in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and India's contribution to partner countries in CCIA and beyond. He underlined India's traditional ties with Central Asia, shared perspectives on counter-terrorism and Afghanistan. So this is what is about CCIA virtual ministerial meeting. The next one is G4 countries. The G4, India, Brazil, Japan, Germany foreign ministers met on a virtual platform on the sidelines of the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly. So G4, the India, Brazil, Japan, and Germany foreign ministers met on a virtual platform on the sidelines of the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The G4 ministers, G4 we know, it is India, Brazil, Japan, and Germany. The G4 ministers highlighted the urgency of reforming the United Nations. So they stand together for reforming the United Nations. So G4 ministers highlighted the urgency of reforming the United Nations and updating its main decision-making bodies in order to better reflect contemporary realities. The G4 countries have backed each other's candidature for permanent membership of an expanded Security Council except for China. All the other P5 countries, the US, the UK, France, and Russia, have also offered unstinted support for India's membership of the Security Council. The G4 ministers also expressed concern at the lack of any meaningful movement forward in the intergovernmental negotiation on Security Council reform and expressed their concern that after 2 sessions in February and March, the IGN was adjourned due to COVID-19 and no further meeting were held. Now, right from newspaper, this was a discussion and it was very clear. India attends G4 ministerial meeting on UNGA. Sidelines call for UNSC reforms. So India attends G4 ministerial meeting on United Nations General Assembly sidelines, calls for United Nations Security Council reforms. In India today, you can see a clear article in that G4 nations of India, Germany, Brazil, and Japan on Wednesday call for a decisive push for the long delayed reform of UN Security Council at the sidelines of the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly. So 2 points. One is G4 is very, very important. At the same time, now United Nations General Assembly 75th session as it is going on, and at the same time that is also important too. So you should have an idea about United Nations General Assembly, at the same time United Nations Security Council, and above all about G4 and the objectives and the mission and aim of G4. And the final topic is about Arab League. Palestinian Authority has stepped down from a key Arab League role over the bloc's failure to condemn Bahrain and UAE's normalization of ties with Israel. So in discussion, Bahrain is there, in discussion UAE is there, and in the discussion Israel is also there. So you should have an idea about the geography of that particular region from UPSC perspective. At the same time, you should have an idea what is the discussion is about. Its foreign minister called any such deal is dishonorable. Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates, that is UAE, signed deal in Washington on September 15, 2020 that normalized ties with Israel, a move the Palestinians view as a blow to their effort to end the Israel occupation and achieve an independent state. The Palestinians were supposed to chair meeting of the council, which bring together foreign ministers from the 22-member regional bloc until March. Now, what is Arab League? It is formed in 1945. It currently has 22 member states. So right from that point, if you take it, is almost 75 plus for Arab League. So Arab League is important. It's formed in 1945. Currently has 22 member states who work together to improve relations between Arab nations. Syria's membership was suspended in 2011 because of the country's civil war. Now, while we are discussing in newspaper in Hindu, what next for Palestine after UAE, Bahrain deals with Israel? This was the discussion. What next for Palestine after UAE, Bahrain deals with Israel? The new found readiness of Arab countries to have peace with Israel under the mediation of the Trump administration appears to be transforming one of the oldest conflicts in the modern West Asia. So West Asia should be pucker in your mind. You should have clarity regarding the India map related to the West Asia, Central Asia and West Asia. There should be clarity. At the same time, you should have an idea what is the discussion is about. The newfound readiness of Arab countries to have peace with Israel under the mediation of the Trump administration, because it's happened last year. Trump administration appears to be transforming one of the oldest conflict in the modern West Asia, and that was the discussion about. So you should have an idea, and the newspaper discussed in this manner. It took more than 3 decades for the first Arab country to recognize Israel. Egypt signed a peace treaty with its Jewish neighbor in 1979, a year after the Camp David summit between President Anwar Sadat and Israel Prime Minister Menachem Begin. And here in this discussion, the significant Camp David summit as it is in news. So you should have an idea what is Camp David summit is about. Now, Jordan, the second Arab country that established peace with Israel, took 15 more years to do so. So first is Egypt, second one is Israel, second one is Jordan. There was a gap of 26 years between Jordan's peace treaty and that of UAE with Israel. So Egypt, then Jordan, then UAE. But you can see good number of years in between Egypt, Jordan and UAE in order to have relation with Israel. So there was a gap of 26 years between Jordan's peace treaty and that of UAE with Israel, and then it took less than 30 days for the fourth agreement between Bahrain. So we can understand this: Egypt, then comes Jordan, then comes UAE, then comes Bahrain. But between UAE and Bahrain, it took only 30 days for the fourth agreement between Bahrain and Israel that was announced on Friday by US President Donald Trump. That was the discussion came in last September 22. So my dear aspirants, we discussed international issues, and organization is very, very important. And at the same time, I am looking into the core aspects of each and every topic. I am conveying what is to be noted from prelims perspective. At the same time, I'm also mentioning it can be come from the mains perspective. Also, I am discussing the mains perspective too. So listen to the video, listen to the discussions carefully. At the same time, work out the question paper from prelims point of view. And calm version is the most predictive version. International relation is very, very interesting. International discussions are very, very interesting. Try to have fundamental clarity in organizations and fundamental clarity in issues. Then reading and understanding, listening and understanding will be very easy. Once again, calm version is the most productive version. Have a very productive learning, happy learning and happy reading for all. Meet you in the next video. In the next video, we'll be discussing the next 10 topics of international issues. Have a great time. Thank you all.